Hey, everybody. Hope all's well. Go ahead and unmute, type in. Let's go ahead and fire away.
And go ahead, Chris, then Lolly.
Hey, Chris.
Hey Greg, thanks Sam. Hey, just wanted to touch bases with you on that person that we talked about last. I saw her last weekend. This is Mitra. She still has a lot. She looked so heavy, walking in, and still lots of headaches, and she's hearing the same voices in her head.
Mhm.
Just wanted to check in on that and see if
Yeah,
there's.
the things that we discussed, they're still not resolved. So that's going to take probably a good month of treatment.
Okay. And is
Yeah,
there any way I can help relieve the pressure in the head?
the things that we discussed, you're going to have to do it in steps. It's not going to be able to just go right to the spot. You're going to have to clean things up for a while to get there.
Okay.
Like there's times where when certain conditions, you almost have to ignore the symptoms for a little while to try to rectify the underlying causes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And are you familiar with psychedelic passage and what that treatment entails?
Um, I don't know the term psychedelic passage, but I know people do different things with psychedelics.
Yeah.
What is it that they're doing?
I they were looking into doing that. I think it has something to do with magic mushrooms.
Mm.
Will that make it?
Not, not a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I thought. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you
I,
so
I
much.
mean, the thing with that is, people will. There are times where like fear mechanisms can get reset a little bit, but most times what happens is there is a disconnection from some of the psychological issues or the body issues, but it's because it's stimulated dissociation. And what happens is those things just get pushed deeper into the unconscious, and they just manifest in other places. So
Huh. Okay.
um, I, I I I would not suggest it.
Okay. That's what
Yeah.
I said, but I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Like
All right.
it's very trendy right now.
Ah,
But
okay.
I mean, I have seen some people uh, do healing with some things like that, but it's usually a very multifaceted approach, and it's not the way that people are doing things these days. You know,
Hmm.
it's done more in ceremony and not the way ceremonies are done like in these circles, but like hardcore ceremonies.
The real deal. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And so I mean it's possible, but um the way that the things like that get used these days, um I haven't seen too many where the issue has been resolved. It just kind of scrambles it around and goes deeper into the unconscious. Yeah.
When you say deeper into the unconscious, it's almost like it's making them
You could like
worse
look
in that improvement.
if you think about it like this, like when they have like a serious like health issue or psychological issue that or a series of them, it's like a kind of obstacle that they're having to kind of work through. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens a lot of times is people have a hard time working through what the issue is, and so they'll use a substance like this that feels like it takes the obstacle away, and the obstacle is still there. It just will manifest somewhere else. Like
Ah,
a lot of times, even the physical symptoms don't really resolve, but their fixation on the symptom will
ah,
resolve. And sometimes that's the issue that's preventing them from getting better. But it doesn't, they don't like work through the issue. They just end up like kind of checking out from it. And,
gotcha. Okay.
you know, quality of life, you could say that it changes a little bit because they're not as fixated on it, but um, it presents other struggles that I don't know, like you could say they're not really aware of it, but they're not really aware of it, but they just generate like a different story in their head. It's not about healing. They just I
It's
don't know.
almost like a distraction.
It's like a distraction or even a stronger form of a distraction. Yeah.
Huh. And
Yeah.
will, if they do go ahead with that, um, will that have an adverse effect to what I'm trying to do?
You'll have to clean them up more and work a bit more on dissociation. And
Okay.
the issue with that, because there's even some modalities that the modality stimulates dissociation, in the name of healing or the name of releasing. And
Uh-huh.
so the thing that starts happening is it becomes harder and harder for them to process things. And so when they are forced with having to like process something, processing is just us like working through it. You could say the inability to process something directly corresponds to the level or degree that they lack intuition. Like in intellect, the greater that the person is intellectual, because being super intellectual is a repetitive pattern. And so the more that they're intellectual, the more unlikely they'll be able to process through something. And healing is a process, right? And so they start micromanaging, they start getting real controlling, they start getting really rigid, or they start generating stories and things like that. And so the more that sometimes somebody does that, the harder it is to generate the movement that we would call healing. They like a distraction, or it becomes more than a distraction. It becomes like this like thing that they micromanage. And they might find some temporary relief in the moment, and for a short time. But what starts happening as time goes by is it starts getting worse and worse. And they'll go through phases where they get triggered much easier. They have a difficult time when things aren't going like when reality kind of meets the story in their head. Like they'll talk about how they are triggered or they have PTSD, and it's not PTSD. It's actually the story is not matching reality, and it's like
Right.
worlds are colliding, and so it becomes like uh, healing's still possible, but it's harder and it takes a lot more time. I find that when when that's been an issue, and it's not so much like the psychedelic thing, but just when people are having a hard time processing, they don't necessarily stay in therapy for very long, or they look for things that are just always very distracting. Like everything's about the distraction. And so, like a drug, the distractions have to keep escalating. It might not be a substance, but the distractions have to keep escalating. And so, you know, it's a common thing these days, though.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if they do it once or twice, it's like, you could probably clean them up. But if that becomes a thing, like a lot of microdosing or something like that, because in the original days, the microdosing was not supposed to go on for a long period of time. It was just like for a short period of time, somebody works through something, they're able to disconnect, but then they would go through a lot of intensive psychotherapy or ceremony or something like that, and people could resolve it. I saw a therapist do that with vets like back in the 90s. And it was somewhat effective. Like I thought it was effective, but it wasn't just microdosing and going about your day. It's like they microdosed, but then they did a bunch of hard work with it. And so it's possible, but that's why, like, when we talk sometimes, like in the classes, we don't all see healing in the same way. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people are not really wanting to address the thing in front of them. And anything, be it a physical health issue or a psychological thing or a traumatic event, you process it. Like, dealing with that obstacle, whatever it might be, is how we learn, how we grow, how we get smarter, how we become more intelligent. But a lot of times people have the idea that healing is just trying to make it go away or trying to avoid it. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll just spin in circles.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that pan out. I mean, over a
That's
hundred
the word, spin in
hours. Yeah,
circles. Yeah.
yeah. Over 100,000 hours. I've never seen it happen once. No,
Mm-hmm.
no once. Yeah, yeah. I mean, people do it all different kinds of ways. Sometimes it can be meds, it can be, it could be all kinds of things. But you know, sometimes people will do it, and they'll also do some hard work. They'll do some processing and hard work. And so I would say there it's very, very possible. But it really comes down to, are they trying, like, even when they're doing something like that, are they trying to address something, or are they trying to get away from something? And really the intention of it is really will dictate like how the process is. And the reason why I say that most days is most people are trying to get away from something and not trying to address it. Like,
Yeah, I think it's
traveled
getting rid
with,
of the pain. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. And so, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. So I mean, just keep doing the thing that until those aspects get resolved, it's going to be harder to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
All right. Thank you, Greg.
yeah. But keep me posted, and we'll do another reevaluation in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll do that. Um, I'll just do regular check-ins.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're so.
And then go ahead, Lolly and Jan.
Hey, Lily.
Hey, um, I'll do a quick follow-up question on what you just talked about. So from my understanding, at least, I understand that there's obviously a difference between somebody who's trying to work on things and doing other things and trying to avoid whatever it may be. But as far as how it affects looking at the chakras, the chakra web, I'm guessing it will be, because I know it's affecting that, right? So you have tears in the web if somebody is using other substances, right? So it doesn't really
Depends
matter
on
the intent of the person.
yeah, it depends on the substance, it depends on the dosage, and even things that could potentially do that. It does more than just cause tears in the web, but depending on I mean, there's several factors there. It really depends on the individual and how they're approaching it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just because that,
Yeah.
okay. So now to my actual questions.
Mhm.
So last week I talked a little bit, I was asking about some bug bites because as we were in class, I ended up with like a bunch of bug bites.
Mhm.
I emailed you guys about that. So that was like intense.
Mhm.
Today, and I'm a week after, I still have a little bit, it's a little bit itchy. There's like a tiny bit left that you can kind of see some leftovers of like a bruise.
Mhm.
But that was really like, and I did, antihistamine, I did galbanum, and I did all the topical stuff. And so I'm wondering if it's something, and I end up using orange healer,
Mhm.
um, which that was like magic. It worked
Oh,
really well.
good. Yeah.
That was like like all the other stuff that we talked about and I would go to for skin didn't work.
Mhm.
The only thing that worked was the orange healer, and that
Okay.
really made a difference on how it like really made it look different, feel different, and everything. So what I'm wondering about is what I mean, obviously it's expelling, it's cleaning things out, but is that like one of the things that you would even, is there something else other than that that you would use when you have like, I don't know
With
if it was
something
like
like
a,
that,
yeah.
I mean, I would say your reaction, your skin reaction was pretty extreme. Usually those other things would work. And so when you get to the point and it's not working, boy, then you just start reaching in and like trying
Mm-hmm.
stuff like what you did. Um, uh, that has a detoxifying effect on the body, and then an
Mm-hmm.
energetic cleansing effect on the body as well. And it does stimulate some lymphatic movement. And so that combination is probably what helped resolve it. Um, yeah, like at the point where you tried all the stuff that you did, and
Yeah.
especially, usually after one dosage of an antihistamine, be it quercetin or something else, it will usually resolve. But every once in a while, you need 3 or 4 dosages. But most times that and something topical will usually calm it down. And so, there could just been like some poor lymphatic movement. I mean, it could have been that, but um, uh, trying to think if there's anything. You kind of were getting ready for your trip, and maybe there was some stress there. I mean, I wouldn't think that would have been a
I
big factor, but
I think that was after I already made the decision, so the
yeah,
stress levels actually
had gone
were
down.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I've had issues in the past that I had like bug bites, not as bad, but it took like a few days to resolve, and I didn't know what to use. Like I tried different things and nothing worked. So this time at least work with the oils.
Hmm.
So and there was a difference after taking the antihistamine, but not enough to really resolve
Hmm.
that. And
And how
it's
many dosages did you do? Just like the one time, or
no antihistamine. I end up with like 3 days of like
so you took it for 3 days?
twice a
Wow.
day, and then
Yeah, yeah.
quercetin. In addition to that, and galbanum, I ended up with like 3 times a day, which I wasn't even sure if that was fine, but I was like, I don't even.
Wow. Yeah, that's a bad reaction to the bug bite. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
So if
was.
orange heather's your jam, like I would keep that handy if
That's why I already ordered
yeah,
some more.
yeah, yeah.
And ended up mixing it with like some body tonics.
Sure.
But is there anything like is there a reason not to? I mean, it's not something I'm gonna
Mm,
use on a daily
no,
basis and all
that's
the time, but it's not okay.
no, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And really galbanum, is it something that I can take 3 times a day if needed?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it all the time, but like,
No.
like when you're in like a lot of pain or like it's probably more like agitation and irritation in the skin more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could do it, bump it up there. I mean,
Okay.
galbanum could have worked. Yarrow might have worked. German chamomile might have worked. Dark blue
I did,
tea.
and
Yeah,
that's the thing. I
yeah,
did German chamomile.
yeah.
I
I mean,
did
you're doing all the
yarrow.
right things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, So, but hey, at least I know
Yeah.
that and the orange, I was like, okay, what would I? So at least I know that's working.
Yeah.
Um,
But if you think about it, like now as I'm sitting here thinking it out more, is you know, in the orange healer, it does have a decent amount of lovage, and
yeah, I
lovage
realized that.
is a really good like cleanser for the tissue. And it makes me wonder if maybe even that was just, you know, there's a couple things that clean up the tissue, like the fascia and stuff.
Mhm.
And lovage being one of them, and terebinth being the other, are really good. Just, you know, they just clean the tissue out, and
Mhm.
so yeah, hopefully you don't have to experiment again in the
I
future,
know.
that you don't get those kinds of bug bites. But do you know what bit you? Like what was the thing that bit
It
you?
was like a small, it wasn't like a fly, but it's a bug bite that I've gotten before. So it's not like a regular fly, but it's like a smaller one.
Like
Like
those biting
small,
flies? Yeah.
Like
yeah, yeah.
The what are they?
no-see-ums. Like you don't see them, they're no-see-ums, but they like bite you all over the place and they're really little.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I saw him afterwards and I was like, ooh,
Right.
that was but then he disappeared. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like my only experience with something like that was there was these large flies out at the ranch that they would when I was in New Mexico, and they would only be out for about 6 weeks. But man, when they bit it, like it hurt, like it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like, you know, how like, oh, like my joint hurts, or it was just this weird superficial thing on the skin. But it would really kind of hurt. But like you know, again, I just slapped some. So I think I did dark blue tansy on it, and it went away.
Mm-hmm. So
But
yeah, and here it was swollen and then it looked like major bruises on the skin. It so weird. Um,
you don't
okay,
have a do
so
you have a history of hives or anything like that? Do you get hives?
yes, years
Yeah.
ago. Years ago there was a time that I got it and I did so many tests and eventually they were like, we think it's stress related. That was like maybe 4 years
I
ago.
mean, I know the stress went away from your trip, but it makes me wonder if just the idea of going, because it might not have even been your stress, but you know, your family's
Yeah.
okay over there, by the way, right? Because I noticed like a couple
Yeah,
of
it
weeks
got
ago
that
they
it was worse for a few days, but yeah, they're okay. Yeah,
okay.
thank you. Yeah.
Um, the it makes me wonder if it was just the stress of the situation, and you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But um I mean,
And
orange
it's
healer would treat the stress too. So I mean,
yeah.
whatever it was, like you
And
nailed it. But
and it was interesting because I also was really tired for like a couple of days. Like it felt like there was something in my body that needed to like be cleaned out. So I don't know.
see, that makes me think stress. Like
Yeah.
but again, the stress could be also, a lot of it could be not yours. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
family being stressed, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
wanting you to come, and are you coming, not coming,
Yeah.
you know, all that kind of.
Yeah.
And so but
Um,
you know, sometimes with stuff like that, you know what you can do is it, like if you think it's like stress coming from other people, is inhale like the dark blue tansy or yarrow or blue healer or something, and your body on them, or on you, and then your awareness on them, and then you, and then them. You could probably also do that with hyssop. Hyssop would probably work as well.
oh, like we did on
The
Saturday.
hyssop, yeah, hyssop slows down the back and forth between
Mm-hmm.
the energy body of different people. Like you know how
Mm-hmm.
sometimes things will escalate. Hyssop will actually calm that down. And so, you know, some version of that. You know, I'm sure they were excited that you were coming, and then
Yeah.
you're not coming, you are coming. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it
Yeah, yeah,
probably was not uh,
yeah.
it probably
So
wasn't your stress.
yeah. So that's a good and yeah, and I think yeah, we did it on Saturday, I think, the back and forth with the awareness on
Hmm.
ourselves and the other person in the class. Okay.
Hmm.
So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And then a couple of other things. What really shifted actually for me, because the week was something was off about last week. What shifted things for me was Sunday working with ginger lily. That was, I can't even explain it. All of a sudden, everything just was different and opened
Oh,
up, and it
good.
was, yeah. So that was amazing. And what I've been actually working with the last couple of days is, which I actually haven't worked with a lot before, is astral projection.
Mm-hmm. One of
Um,
Sam's personal favorites.
oh my God. So I mean, we worked with that in the class, and I was like working through my oils and looked at ginger lily and that, and I didn't like I put it on my wrist, and then all of a sudden everything just I get stuff done. I'm more focused.
Yeah.
Everything is
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like
It
clearing
breaks
things up.
it breaks down emotional patterns. We get like these patterns and that we're not really conscious of them, but we just get into like kind of like emotional habits. And it just like breaks it up. And as it breaks it up, just like the stress or the anxiety or the fear or whatever is associated with that, just like kind of pops out. And I would say I I would say that astral projection, when you say, is one of the better like emotional cleansers.
Oh, for sure.
Like when Samantha takes a bath with astral projection, like the bathroom is so heavy with the energy, we have to burn incense in there because you walk in and you can kind of feel like something in your like solar plexus, and it's not like that. She does the bath and is like, ugh.
Mhm.
I think the first
Like
time,
I feel great.
right, she feels amazing, but it's like, it's one of those things like, are you okay? Like, it feels like something evil came out of you or something.
Oh my God.
And so like I started taking them, I was like, man, it was the same thing. It just like weird stuff would come out. And so, you know, um, we think of we think of the emotions of like, oh, I got upset, or oh, I got angry, or oh, my feelings got hurt. And all of those are a thing. But there's also just these repetitive patterns in the emotional body that can be just as impactful, like in a negative way, but you just don't know because you're used to feeling them over and over again. And so like you really don't know it until it's gone. And then like you said, like all of a sudden you're getting stuff done, and it's not even like, oh, the anger's gone. It's just like this weird, I don't even know that I would call it heaviness. It's just these weird like kind of feelings and emotions that, how you just feel kind of crappy, or you just feel like low grade anxiety, or you feel like, whatever it is, not good enough, or something's about to happen, or it's like it's usually something like that. And then you go through and you do a couple of those baths, or you work the oil a little bit, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm not even really thinking about any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he describes it really well, because the last few days actually I got very, very triggered by something, a job that I don't want to do for many reasons, and I would have to do for a couple of days, and it brought up a lot of emotional stuff, and
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of so a lot of things came up, so it makes sense
I mean,
that
there's a
there's
good
this.
example right there, is just the stuff
Yeah,
that goes along with that. Like,
yeah,
because that could even be just like, okay, I had past bad experiences doing this kind of work, or working with that person, or
mm-hmm.
whatever it is.
All of the above, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So okay, so thank you. And then that leads to a couple of other questions. So one of the things in the master production is the tolu balsam.
Mm-hmm.
That and I know it's good for respiratory, and it's good for some emotional stuff. And I'm still, because each one of the balsams is doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they each have. So what else is there anything else about the tolu balsam?
Yeah, it's relaxing to the diaphragm. Like it's good, like you said, for respiratory issues. It's one of the things that I used to use it for in the early days was croup, which is like a restriction in the airway, but like in the throat. And you don't really see it very much in adults. It's usually a childhood thing. But right before the pandemic, right before COVID-19, like the season before that, there was this really bad flu was going around, because a lot of times in a year, it's not just one strain. There's like a couple of different things that are floating around. So a lot of people will get a particular kind of flu, and then other people might get sick, but it's a different strain of something. And that year prior, there was a strain, and again, like it was a higher level of people dying from it than normal. It wasn't massive, like it was maybe, I can't remember the numbers, but it might have been like an extra like 20 or 30,000 people in the year died. Because like every year, about 80,000 people die from the flu. And I mean, those might be old numbers, but it had escalated a little bit. And one of the symptoms was the croup. And, they would get the croup really bad. And you don't really see that a lot in adults, but here it's because it's a viral issue associated with that. And so there's that. But then if we set aside the things that it does, like in a physical way, esoterically, it's tied to diminishing what you would call like in the old days, like in ancient times, they would call it a phantasm, but it just basically means like a projection that's not real. Like, so somebody might be like, I mean, like the easy one is you're a bad person. Like you don't see things the way I do, so you're a bad person. Like that's a phantasm, right? Like, so you have enough people projecting those things at you, and it, it reduces your ability to be creative. Like it reduces your ability to I mean, it basically is like a blockage to light, so which is light is the creative process. So it blocks the ability to assimilate light or to harness light. And so, it reduces the potential for intuition and problem solving and learning and all those kinds of things, healing, and keeps a person stuck in their mind. And so, and not just the mind, but also the projection. Like they will almost like start taking on the projection as if it's real. And so like even like when you look at an item, like when you look at this item and you go, okay, I want to clean this up. So you do things and you clean up the energy of it, the contamination. And then you look at it and you go, okay, maybe there's a program. So you go through and you clean off the program, or you pray over and you get the program, and you're like, man, it's pretty strong. And then you go, okay, what else can I clean off? Usually the biggest thing is the phantasm, like the projections of what this is or what it does is usually the biggest kind of contamination. So even going through and cleaning things off, it's helpful, but it doesn't it doesn't clean those, like that's not purified unless you're using a substance that's very good at it, or you use your intention to go after the phantasm. And so like I never really use the word phantasm anymore. I used to a long time ago, but everybody thought I was talking about like ghouls and demons, and you know what I mean. So I was like, it's just a like an old ancient way of saying projection. So you're just dealing with people's projections. And so those projections aren't just from people, they can happen in nature as well. And so like you ever watch a rooster, like out in the yard or out somewhere, and he's walking around like he is just the king of the mountain. That's also a projection. Like even an animal can have a projection. Like, so even in nature, there's these projections, and it's part of like how people are able to function when, maybe there's an insecurity or an issue, lack of confidence, or they've been injured or something. They're able to kind of pull it together and function because they don't quite see like how bad it is or how dangerous it is, and they're not overwhelmed by it. So it gets them through something for a while. But at some point, you have to be able to let the projection go. And so with that, they can happen anywhere, and not, like I said, not just from people. It's part of, if you look at the creative process, it's a resolving of an obstacle between essence and form. But in nature, you see like animals are hunting each other, animals are running from each other, they're fighting for their food, they're doing this, they're doing that, or whatever it is. And so if you keep looking at that idea in a non-personal way, and you just look at it as a dynamic, you can see it actually even playing out in nature. So part of that phantasm is a byproduct of like how the lower nature thinks, like, or how it behaves. Yeah.
And so that's cleaning it out, which is why it's also helpful in the astral.
Yeah, that's and that's
all
in
together. Yeah.
the astral projection, and then
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's other things that do it. Tolu does it really well. What's another one that does it really well that you wouldn't think about is schizandra. Schizandra does that as well. It cleans up the phantasm, and trying to remember all the things. I have them written down. Peru balsam does it as well, and that attractolodes. Yeah. Hyssop will do it as well. Yeah, hyssop will do it as well. Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of times where, maybe sometimes in therapeutic situations you have to really deal with it, but it's usually tied more to like an inner practice where you're having to resolve it. And so even cultures will embrace like those projections and hold them real for a while until we outgrow them, or it's just the way things are.
Yeah. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
And then since we're talking about the balsams, you have the new one on the website, the gurjun. I don't know how to even pronounce it.
Gurjun balsam. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's actually been around. Like I use it in blends. We had it in a kit, and I think we had it in a long time ago.
And we even talked about it on the weekend.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering about is because I read a little bit about it last night, and one of the things it talked about was that it's good for the skin.
It's super good for the skin.
Okay. So what would, because I'm starting to break it. So what would that do? Like, how is that different than the other oils that we use for the skin? Like
what kind of things are you trying to treat?
I always try to treat something in the skin, and I'm looking for different things. So that's
it has a balancing effect like on the skin, but I would say spikenard is a bit more potent there. I think I listed some of the things that it potentially can be helpful with. It's never my like first go-to thing, and honestly, a lot of times I kind of forget about it. But
Mhm.
then, you know, if something's not responding to treatment, um, then, you know, you start like how you did with the orange healer, you start going,
Mhm.
well, let's start thinking out of the box. And then
Yeah.
that's usually when I go, oh yeah, there's gurjun balsam. And so, you
Mhm.
know, I've been formulating this one blend for psoriasis for a while. And I started thinking like you know, I got to work in gurjun balsam into that. You know, I had
Mhm.
forgotten about it. And um you know, that's the thing with skin is, you know, it's usually a reflection of other things going on,
Mhm.
but it's hard to tell what they are. And so that's what you do is you just kind of start treating things. And you know, one person it works well, and then I mean psoriasis is a perfect example. Like you know, you'll have tremendous success with one person, you do that same thing on the next person, and they're like nothing happened. And then even with psoriasis with that person, it might work well. And then 2 months later, it's not working anymore. So a lot of times you have to keep like rotating what you're using,
Mhm.
especially because psoriasis is, you know, kind of low grade autoimmune issue. And so by continually like mixing things up, it doesn't allow the immune system to react quite as much. It's like, you know, the more you keep using the same thing over and over again, at some point, the immune system, when it's got a little bit of an autoimmune thing, it goes, okay, we're not going to tolerate this anymore, or this is going to stop working. And so the thing is, you do is you keep rotating the things that you use to
Mhm.
try to almost introduce like some sort of spontaneous action to the thing that is just so repetitive. And so you do it by rotating things a lot. And I would throw that in the mix. I probably wouldn't have it be the primary. Like all the
Mhm.
things that we've talked about, they would be the more primary things.
Yeah.
But you know, uh wouldn't hurt to try it. Like,
Mhm.
but I find the other things work a bit better. But you know, there's always going to be the anomaly. There's always going to be, you know, the exception to the rule.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you know, after we were playing with it on the weekend, I was like, why am I not playing with this one more? Like, and so I went through it. I even found like I started just like inhaling it while I was sitting on the couch. And man, it relaxed me quite substantially. Like I felt like I almost needed a nap where I was not feeling sleepy. And
Mhm.
even that it was unexpected.
Yeah.
And so you know, traditionally it's used for like skin stuff and then meditation. Like
Mhm.
people will burn it like in incense or in incense blend for meditation. And I think it is because it does have that calming, soothing effect. And I suspect that it works well for things like eczema and psoriasis because it's calming and soothing to some agitation in the immune system. And so you know, I haven't been able to validate like how well that it would work for autoimmune issues, but I suspect that it's one of those things that you could use for autoimmune issues.
Mhm.
But I don't have enough clinical experience with it where I can go, oh yeah, that totally is a thing. But
Mhm.
it's like one of those things where like I suspect that's going to be an issue, you know, a thing that it could
Yeah.
resolve. You know,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Perfect. And
yeah.
then just a couple more.
Mhm.
Sweetgrass that you have a spray on the website and
Mhm.
actually order
Mhm.
that. I remember Sam mentioned that it smells amazing. What do you usually use it for? Cleansing purposes?
Materialization processes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sweetgrass is very good for when you do materialization. It's very good for attracting energy, like attracting like good spirits, like, you know, like diminishing negative spirits. And the idea of the spirits are uh spirits are how we communicate with the elements. So like that we draw in negative elements that cause the body to degenerate or cause our emotions to be agitated. It's because like the negative, you know, each chakra has a positive spirit and a negative spirit, and our goal is to vanquish the negative and reinforce or fortify the positive. You know, each chakra has
Mhm.
and so the communication from the spirits is what draws the elements in. And so by using something like sweetgrass, it's like it diminishes the negative like enough so that the positive can communicate and bring something positive in. So like a lot of times in the indigenous practices, they'll use it before ceremony, or
Mhm.
they would even use it like before going into battle or something so that they would have a positive outcome. You know, that's it. So that's
So
the idea is materialization.
so basically, I think that's like the perfect one I need this week. So basically, if you're going into a place that you know something is off or something like the energy is off, that's a good one as a protection, or not really.
I don't know that it would be protective. I mean, it might be a little protective. I would use it more for materialization. That's how I would use it.
So
Like,
have the intention before you're using it as well.
you know how we do the materialization breath? You spray
Yeah.
down before you do the materialization breath. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then, you know, visualize whatever you'd like to visualize. You know, working with an oil or doing it without an oil, but you can still spray down and do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Oh, and last one, the frequency, the new one that you have.
Mhm.
I have the incense, which smells, yeah, it smells lovely. What does it? It reminds me of the abramelin a little bit.
And what's in it?
Yeah, because it smells a little bit like that, and I'm not sure if that's what's in there.
Frequency is a lemmy, tolu balsam,
Oh,
benzoin, mugwort, and this oil called knotgrass. Yeah, but knotgrass is in a few blends. I'm almost positive we don't have knotgrass on the site, but
mhm.
yeah, it's good for that.
We do.
Okay.
Do we really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And then go ahead, Jan, then Priya.
Hey, Jen.
Hi.
Hey,
Can you
hey,
hear
how are
me?
you? Mhm.
Hi. Well, I picked up I got sick with COVID about
Oh,
2 weeks
bummer.
ago.
Yeah.
First time I've ever gotten it that I know of. Anyway, that I'm still I mean I've managed to stay at home and everything, but I just have a lot of chest congestion and just really, really tired. I've tested
But
positive 4 times. I've tested positive every 3 days, 4 times now.
so chest congestion meaning like a lot of mucus?
Yeah, mostly in the chest, and I cough and cough it up sometimes.
How bad your cough?
I don't cough that often, but when I do, it's
Stuff
productive.
coming up.
Yeah,
Um,
just wonder if there are any oils I could hit
yeah.
hard.
So like first I would say like the tincture of mullein, or if you want to just like you could probably run out to the health food store and get like capsules or something of mullein.
Mullein.
Um,
Okay.
mullein will be helpful for drying up some of that mucus, and you know it sounds like you don't have too bad of a cough, but the other thing is um like a inula would be really good, but you might not have that.
Yeah, I do have some.
You do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Like breathe that as much as you can during the day.
Okay.
Like inula, and then just other things that are kind of soothing to the respiratory tract. Like I even like to use like with something like this is like even helichrysum.
Okay.
The helichrysum will help to reduce some inflammation, and it does help to make things a little bit more fluid so it becomes easier to expel.
Okay.
So that can be helpful. But I'd also rotate through a couple of things, like if you have like myrtle or eucalyptus, something like that. Rosemary could be another thing,
Okay.
things that are good for respiratory things. So then I could just go to the basics like hyssop, some form of spruce or Sitka, even frankincense, anything, and I would just keep rotating it.
Okay.
'Cause you want to kind of open up the lungs and reduce constrictions and things that are there. Larch would be another one if you had that. So I just kind of gather up all your respiratory kind of oriented oils
Yeah.
and start inhaling them. Terebinth is very good for drying up mucus as well.
Okay.
And so you could rotate if you have terebinth. Um, even though it's a form of pine,
Hmm.
it's more from the bark, where a lot of pine is actually like the needles. And
Mm-hmm.
so other pines don't quite have the drying effect, but they'll still help open up the chest and they'll help with spasms and things like that. And so I would, gather it all up and just start kind of rotating them. I
Okay.
think sometimes when I get sick, I'll start to focus on just one oil and then I start rotating them, and I find that I get some better results that way.
I see.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. And so if you find one that's really working for you, I'd work it for a while, but I'd
Okay.
still kind of play with some of the other ones.
I have I have most of those that you just mentioned, and then I have some breathe easy, and I
Oh
have
yeah. Work that in there. Yeah.
okay, and
Yeah.
bronchioles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The breathe easy, let me look that up. I think that has a bunch of larch in it.
Okay.
And that would be great for you right now.
Okay.
Let me look up real quick. No, I'm thinking of a different one. Still pretty darn good for you though.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got the clove type of basil. It's not clove and basil, but it's like basil that has like a scent of clove.
Hmm.
And then it's got a fancy rosemary, and then spikenard and chamomile and mandarin, clary sage, aniseed myrtle, amivisnaga, and helichrysum. And so
Okay.
that could actually be quite good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there anything for the just the extreme fatigue, or
I
is
think
that
if you open up the lungs, the fatigue will resolve
oh
itself. Like you're probably not getting the greatest oxygen levels, and so that's why the
oh
fatigue is there.
yeah.
But if you want to augment, do you have any form of time?
Um, let's see. I don't think I do actually. I probably have blends that have time in them.
Do you have like some cinnamon?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you do a couple drops in the morning of cinnamon? Just again, that will also, I mean, both cinnamon and thyme are also respiratory stimulants, which help the lungs
Mm,
function better. And
okay.
then they'll elevate your energy levels. And so
Okay.
if you don't have the time, use the cinnamon, and it will help energy levels, but still help you to potentially resolve the respiratory thing faster.
Right. Okay. And then I have eucalyptus radiata.
Perfect. Yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect. Yeah. That
And
would
I
be my
noticed
first choice out of the eucalyptuses.
okay, great.
Yeah.
And I know I was, I've just been kind of experimenting with a lot of different oils. I noticed that when I just breathe the helichrysum a lot,
Mhm.
I felt better, it
Yeah.
seemed like it was doing something.
Yeah. I mean, it helps with the inflammation, and it helps to make things a little bit more fluid. And
Yeah.
if the blood starts getting a little thicker, which can happen when
Mm,
we're sick, it
yeah.
helps to make the blood more fluid. And it's good for the heart. There's so many things
Okay.
why we would use it. And so that was usually one of the first things I would have people start to use, like when they had long COVID,
I
But
see.
start with using helichrysum, and then we'd start trying to rotate to different things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I just wanted to
You're so welcome.
get some suggestions right from you about that. So I'll rotate all
Keep us
those.
posted. If it doesn't seem like it's getting better, I mean, this last 4 or 5 years, like viruses have gotten a lot more ornery and a lot more stubborn than they used to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
So keep me
Stubborn.
posted. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been surprised. I just keep testing positive.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm glad I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything.
Yeah. How long have you been testing positive?
About 12 days.
Yeah. Probably you're almost coming up on 2 weeks. You're a couple days shy of that. Yeah. I mean, I've heard people even like the symptoms have resolved, but even at 3 weeks, sometimes they're still testing positive sometimes.
Oh, really? Okay.
And but they feel better, but the symptom, the positive test is still popping up. And so
Right.
I'd say, you know,
Yeah.
keep treating it because the virus is really probably resolved or quite substantially diminished, but you're still just dealing with how it trashed your body.
Right.
That's usually the bigger thing is all the things that it does to the body.
Yeah.
So, just stay on it. Yeah.
Okay. And in any of those uh internal necessarily or most
The cinnamon I would do internal, but all the
Okay.
ones I would just inhale, a little bit maybe on the chest.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of lotion or something and a bunch of drops and rub it on the chest.
Yeah.
That can be helpful. I find that like uh things that are a little bit more like inhale, like say something like eucalyptus, but things that are a little bit more soothing, I put on the chest. So like,
Okay.
firs or spruces or like we were just talking about tolu balsam or something that's like kind of soothing but still good for the respiratory system. Pine, terebinth. You might do a little bit of both just because it will ease some of the muscles and things that have to strain to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just make a body tonic or something out
Yeah,
of
body
terebinth.
tonic or just, grab a bottle of lotion and
Just-
put a little bit of lotion, 6, 8
Rub-
drops, rub it together and just rub it on.
Right.
Just do some version of that. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's very helpful. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay. See you next time.
And then go ahead, Priya, then Robert.
Hey, Priya.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
Regarding my digestion, I've started taking schizandra every night, and I just bought flaxseed oil.
Oh, good.
But would I take the flaxseed oil after taking the schizandra or anytime during the day?
Doesn't matter. Yeah. You said
And
flax, right? The flax oil?
is that's the flaxseed, isn't it?
Right,
The
right.
flaxseed
Yeah.
oil. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And the quantity of it, how much would I take it?
A lot of times they're like a big gel cap. Did you get the oil or did you get the capsules?
No, it's the oil, but I was reading on the bottle, it said 1 tablespoon every day, but I think that would be just for, someone who's doing well already. So I wasn't quite sure if I would take that much or a little bit more in quantity.
I mean, if you want to just try it out, maybe do a half, but I would probably get up to like a teaspoon, like,
Yep.
daily. Yeah.
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 And thank you for that. Secondly, I wanted to dorje. Just
Mhm.
holding the dorje deepens the breath.
Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, yeah.
And so can I also use it for blessing the projects and paintings and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah. Point it towards the ground, hold it to the ground. And as you're pointing it to the ground, think of the projects and the paintings and things.
Yep. And when we're holding it, pointing to the ground, we're not doing the mudra. We are holding it with
No,
all
you would
4
still
fingers.
still do the finger like that, lay it, and then
Yep.
like that. And it's on the
Okay.
side. Yeah, it's on the side.
Yeah.
So like this is a way of saying like movement.
Yeah.
right? You're generating movement, and then this is physicalizing,
Mm.
right? So when you're pointing the dorje to the earth, you're communicating something to the earth. So this increases the communication, and then this like seals the deal. Like when you're trying to
So would I start with the movement and then towards the end of it, I
do the
would.
movement for a while. Like a lot of times I don't even talk about this piece. Like I like get this really going, because like this is only as good as if you have this down. And so I would say
Mhm.
practice this for a while.
Yeah, done. And so also with the four quarter, and sorry, just before we leave this one, and then in the end, I would turn the dorje sideways.
Yeah. So you like this, and then you let go and you go like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if I'm doing myself and doing the four quadrants, would I do the left quadrant and then turn it sideways, or would I finish the
No,
whole
go all the way around.
all the way around and then do it?
Mhm.
That's all I wanted to check. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
You're so welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And then go ahead, Robert, then Cynthia.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Greg, just want to check if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I have a follow-on question to the one I asked Sunday about this new client I'm working with.
Okay.
And you recommended that I start off doing the auric series with her to basically get her aura, I'll say, reorganized,
Mhm.
functioning better. And when you say that, you mean do all 6 layers probably in one healing session?
If you can, like if you can't, you'll it will depend on the client. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they might only be able to do one or two. Like if you have to like go, I have to choose one, I do the org programming just by itself. But if they can handle doing more, I would try to do all 6, even if you divide it up into a couple of sessions.
Okay. And if I only did the auric programming, I'm assuming the advanced.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can't, like again, I go back to if there's somebody who's used to kind of following processes, I would say go for it. If it's like totally a new person, I would just have them do the real simple version, but maybe multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's easy. I
Yeah.
think can be a good thing for this week. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah.
And then go ahead, Cynthia, then Troy.
Hey, Cynthia.
Let's get you unmuted.
Okay, every week, if the few times I have anything to say, it's always a challenge. So, um, so I talked with you, it might even be 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, somewhere in there. We talked about me talking to a particular doctor about something. And so today I talked with him. Before I went, I used basil and then frankincense and kind of covered the 4 quadrants and so forth. And so on. Overall, I think I would say it was he took it fairly well. I'm laughing because it, I think it was hard for him. And there were a couple of times when he was telling me that he would never have said something that he'd said, which I wasn't real surprised about, and not terribly. And I kept, to begin with, before we started our conversation, I said, look, I've been married to alphas. You're an alpha. I really think, if you'd like to prop the door open so anybody can hear if it gets weird in here. But I really think that this conversation would be better if we were by ourselves. And so then eventually the nurse, who does very well with me, happy with me, she said something about she needed to legally stay. I'm like, okay. So I think overall he it didn't bother me that he was saying he hadn't said the few things that I said. Now, then you said this, and it really didn't bother me because of how how that interaction, or how he would view him saying that. And they weren't mean things that he'd said to me. He just indicated he wouldn't have said to me, well, if we do this, then you'll have that. So like I said, overall, I think it went well. I guess one of the things I'm wondering about, and I would say in a sense, it ended in a relatively positive fashion considering the conversation that was going on.
Mhm.
The point is, so looking at the relationship oils and what to work with him,
Mhm.
because I left it several times saying, I'm discussing this with you, but this doesn't mean I don't still have a high regard for you. So,
Mhm.
and I even started kind of out with, look, you and I have talked before and you brought this up. Please let's sweep that off the table because that is not what this conversation is about. Meaning legal. Like, get rid of that. Don't put that in the mix as you and I talk. But is there a particular oil? I had used basil, like I said, and frankincense before I went. And just kind of, you did the 4 quadrants and also was thinking about, having a positive relationship with this person. Meaning, wanted it to go well. Is there something
I would do,
also?
from that relationship healing class,
Yes.
do the thing for conflict resolution. And you guys aren't really having a conflict, but in his mind, we don't know what's there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I would say I would do that just because it just helps smooth things out. And so it's like basically one of the blue oils, like yarrow, dark blue tansy, blue healer, like German chamomile. And then it's front solar, back solar, and I think it's the basic, right? Yeah, and then basic.
I see, I missed that very end part.
Yeah, and so I would do that, but if you wanted to spice that up a little bit, you could also use that same oil and then do the materialization breath. So do the front and back solar, the basic, and then let it sit for like maybe a minute or two. Think of the situation and then hold the bottle to the chest and then do 8 or 9 of the materialization breaths. And that should also be helpful.
Okay. So it was, sorry, I'm writing it down. Front solar, back solar, basic. What was the
Right.
last one?
And then the materialization breath.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because he was very positive when I said, look, you and I had a kerfuffle at one point. I feel like you and I both made a decision to turn this into a very positive relationship. He was like, yes.
It's one of those ones where you go, you said yes a little too fast and a little too enthusiastically.
Well,
Yeah.
and I could understand why he said that. And I said, so I think I think well of you, So I think overall it was a good conversation, including that he did give me advice that I was actually asking for
Oh, good.
based on here's where we're at.
Yeah.
Give me some advice about this.
Yeah.
So, okay. So thank you for
You're
that.
so welcome.
All right.
And then go ahead, Troy, then Ralph.
Hey, Troy.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Doing good.
I'm struggling with the sore, achy joints.
Okay.
Pretty steady, and my right shoulder is just really hurting, and has caused an issue a couple times at work.
Like you're having
Uh,
a hard time like picking things up and
Yeah, like I'm like losing mobility in it, and I can't. Like I even went today. I put some like lymphatic blend on my wrist, and then sometimes there's like excess, and I'll go to like wipe it on my neck,
Mhm.
and just like trying to raise my arm to put my right wrist to my right neck. It just hurt pretty bad. Like just lifting it that much, like 45 degrees.
So lifting up front or to the side?
Kind of anyway, any lifting.
Anyway, wow. And if I remember right, you had injured this like a while back, and this isn't a result of an immediate injury, but like you have a history of injury in that joint or in that shoulder, and for whatever reason, it's aggravated right now.
Correct. It's been kind of
Achy
escalating
joints or
over.
just the hands, like the arms and the hands?
I'm not noticing the legs as much. It's mostly wrists, elbows, shoulders.
Okay.
But my right shoulder especially has just been escalating steadily over the last month.
And how long ago was that injury?
Oh, 20, 18 years.
20 years ago. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. And does this flare up from time to time, or is this like a new thing that has happened?
I think it's mostly new. I mean, it's possible that it has bothered me and gotten kind of sharp or loud at times over the years, but this is the worst time I can think of.
Okay.
And I can't think of a specific thing that exacerbated it this time. I mean, I'll wake up, in sleep, and I've slept on that side, and then it'll hurt more for sure. I don't know if it's possible I'm just aggravating it sleeping.
I mean, it's always possible. I mean, I would think not, but you never know. What we do in our sleep, who knows? Um, is the hand puffy at all?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let's see. So, a lot of times we do something like galbanum and black seed or whatever with something like this, but I'm going to throw a curveball here, and I would say let's have you do like 2 or 3 drops of lemongrass a couple of times a day. And I do think whenever you have like a injury or like a hot spot, where you're having a problem and it stops responding just to like, moderate treatment or whatever, always look at vagal tone. And so let's have the lemongrass like start to balance out some of the nervous system, and it will relax the body. And I mean, also because you're having the achy joints in both hands, but the shoulder is having a hard time responding, right?
Both of my wrists I've been noticing for months now have been feeling kind of weak and like achy. And then sometimes I'll feel it in the elbows and the shoulders too. And then the right shoulder has just gotten particularly bad in the last month.
So
I actually have been taking lemongrass in different drinks quite a lot the last, I don't know, month or two.
wow, and that's still kicking in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean, I
keep
was just
doing that.
taking it to relax, but
Yeah, let's have you keep doing that. But let me look at this for a little longer here. And you're taking like a few drops a day,
At least.
at least. Okay, so or even more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just have you do this for the next 24 hours. Let's just see if this has any impact on it at all. So we'll have you do like vetiver, like at the base of the skull, like starting in the center and working it around, towards the ear on both sides. And then I would say let's have you use some like marjoram directly on the spine, but then inhale the marjoram as well. I suspect that your neck is the issue. And by, it's having issues, but by the time it gets down to the wrist is where you're really feeling it. Usually there would be a little bit of puffiness there though. Like it might not be like super swollen, but like your rings would be harder to get on and off. And like you even start to feel like the fingertips don't quite have the sensitivity, or there's even a little numbness in the fingertips. Also, is there a little bit of that?
I could see that. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
also
Let's,
noticing, I don't know if it's related, but I've been noticing I've been a little fumbly fingered. It's particularly in the
that's
morning,
your spine.
late at night,
Yeah.
but
Okay, so let's do that. So vetiver here, at the base of the skull, marjoram on the neck, and then also let's have you hit where that point is between where the neck and shoulder meet. Let's have you treat both sides of that multiple times a day. You can rotate between the marjoram and the vetiver, or you can throw spikenard at it. Let's have you do that. And how is your breath? Are you feeling like
and crummy. That's,
you crummy?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Deep
been,
in your breath somehow, like hyssop or sitka or frankincense or myrtle or tolu balsam. Use something that just larch, like do the larch. Larch would be good. Yeah. So try some of those, and let's just try to unwind the nervous system a little bit so that we can loosen up the spine, and then we'll do more on the arms. Like if you want to do things on the arms, I'd almost do, man, I would almost do like blue healer or like yarrow, German chamomile, something like that. Or if you don't have those, like spikenard or something that's like relaxing and anti-inflammatory at the same time. I think though, really what's going to resolve it is that we unwind your neck. But still, we don't want to completely ignore the arms.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And I would say blue healer on that shoulder. Wherever you can get it and touch it, like here, like here. And what one I use sometimes that in between like putting the blue healer on, because like I kind of have like a thing like you, like I blew the shoulder out, and so you touch me over here, I'm fine. You touch me over here, and I'm like, like it's tender. And terebinth, like I'll put terebinth on the area, and it just, man, it takes like this like tension / inflammation out of it that like nothing else seems to get it. And so do you happen to have any terebinth?
I think I'm out. I think I was putting it on my feet when I broke those bones.
Oh
in
yeah,
my
that would have been a very good
foot.
thing to do on your foot.
And I actually, funny enough, went for a trail run on Saturday. First time I've been able to go run in like 6 months since I broke those bones. And I had a great time and didn't hurt at all. But then curiously, I came home and was like shutting some blinds in my son's room. And
Mhm.
there's like a support bar under the bed. And I just kicked the crud out of it. And I'm
Oh,
pretty sure I broke the toe, not the metatarsal, but
oh my God, dude. Oh,
on
dude.
that same line.
Like when I started having stuff like that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put a football helmet on and shoulder pads, and then I'm gonna go to bed and I'm not gonna come out for a week.
That's exactly it. I had a similar feeling.
Yeah. It's the same foot.
Same foot,
Oh,
same
bummer.
like the toe at the end of the metatarsal that broke.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not crazy painful or
helichrysum on
anything,
that,
but
and if it's bad enough, tape the two toes together. Like if you need support. Um, I mean, because that's usually what the doctor would do. Um, for me, like I'll do that for like a day or two, and then after that I stop. But helichrysum on it definitely.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just like curious. What am I missing here? What
Well,
is the symbolism of this?
so like I had a couple conversations with Master Choa about stuff like this because I would go through little waves where I'd be fine, and then all of a sudden it's like, ugh. And what I said to him is like, why am I having such bad luck, or why am I having such a repetitive thing? And he said something to the effect of like, sometimes the body gets in a degenerative state, and that can happen. But also, he said, sometimes, he said, as weird as it sounds, you actually have like a kind of good karma. And instead of having one bad injury, you have several small injuries.
Hmm.
And so, you keep doing the same thing. It doesn't mean you don't stop trying to do it. But he said sometimes it's actually a blessing that it's like, instead of having, like the foot or the ankle broken very badly, you just have this like break and then a fracture and then a twist and then and he said like normally you would have had it all at once, but the karma is good enough to where something still needs to happen, but it's spread out so that you just have these little weird aches and pains for a while. But I also don't like to say everything's just karma and like, I still want to go after it and treat it. And so, I mean, try to put the marjoram on as much of your back, like even down into your low back and everything that you can. And let's just see if taking some of that tension out. But the thing, like, how is your low back? Is your low
Very
back more
sore.
very sore?
Like
Let's
Mingman area is always sore.
yeah, okay. So let's also have you take any of the things like spikenard or vetiver or marjoram, something that's relaxing and antispasmodic. Put it in like a little lotion or a little ointment, and then rub it on the outer part of the leg, like your iliotibial band area, and then your adductor area. So you're not doing front and back, you're doing inside and outside. And sometimes when those areas are tight, with all your running, you would definitely fall in that category where it will start to put tension in the spine, and potentially that could be going all the way up. It might start somewhere, but then the whole spine like compensates. And so just putting something on the spine might not be enough. Let's have you treat like the inner thigh and outer thigh, and then the deep part of your calves, are they real tender? Like if you were to reach down and kind of stick your thumb in the middle of your calf and you went deep, would that like really set you off, or would it just be like, yeah, it's sore, but it's not that big of a deal?
No, I'd scream. Yeah.
Do your calves as well. Like if you have larch, put the larch on your calves. Because the thing, you also have tension in your jaws, and one of the areas that causes bruxing, like grinding your teeth and tight jaws, is actually I don't know how you say it, soleus or soleus. It's a deeper calf muscle. And the reason being is it causes a bunch of agitation in the nervous system, and then it can affect the heart, it can affect the jaws, but it would also make the adrenals like a little bit more activated. It could be overactivating to the Ming Men, which would go with like getting like a little clumsy, or like a little like dropping things and bumping into things. And we were just actually talking about that last night, where I was talking about like maybe we do like a study group, or like a 1 day thing on just the calves, like the calves, the lower leg, just treating muscular things, because the issue being that when those deeper calf muscles are so wound up, it is either a reflection of other things going on that you still can treat from the calf, or it's causing other things in the body. And so we're treating the neck. Let's treat the sides of the legs and then the calves quite substantially, and like treat it pretty good for like a couple of days, and then like email or text me and let me know how it's going. But let's start trying to knock that out a little bit. Yeah. Did I do a large body tonic in something?
The spagyric one.
Yeah.
I don't know about another regular.
But was it in a class, or was it?
I don't remember it in a class. Maybe a future class that you haven't told us
Yeah,
about.
maybe that's what it was. The Take the larch and put it in either like a little bit of alcohol or a little bit of lotion, like 6, 8 drops, and then rub it together, and then just really rub it into your calves, like especially right before you go to bed. And part of doing that, it will make your like the lower part of your aura like kick out like energy that's associated with like tension, like just like tension in your body, but it will kick it out of like from the hips down, like it would just start kicking it off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold on for just a sec.
Just a sec,
Um,
just a sec, just a sec.
Troy, she's going to send you a message right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So keep me posted. Like, well, let's talk. Like, text me or email in like a day and a half, like sometime on Thursday.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
And then go ahead, Ralph, then Lolly.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. First off, I want to go over what we went over last week. I was trying to recover from a really bad diarrhea problem, and I
Right.
had over a week of that.
Uh-huh.
So I've been using.
How's that going?
Well, I would say I'm doing pretty good.
Okay.
I've been using Sylvester Pine on my wrists and the top of my feet,
Okay.
and 2 drops of yarrow every other day.
Okay.
And then I've been inhaling hyssop on the 4 quadrants for 15 or so minutes every night.
Okay.
And so I'm over the diarrhea thing. Okay. So most of my
And
energy
like
come
the
back.
bowel movements are solid, or they're still like
Yes.
loose, but
The bowel movements are a little too solid at this point.
oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a balance problem, isn't it?
Yes, it is. More
Yeah.
prune juice. Okay. Anyway. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. So I've been sleeping pretty well, but I'm still waking up at like 3 in the morning. or, someplace in the middle of the night, waking up, having to go to the bathroom, then being awake for a long time before I go back to sleep. Is there anything I can alter in this or add to this to maybe sleep throughout the night?
And you're getting up because you have to go to the bathroom.
Right, because I think I got to go to the bathroom, but it never seems like there's a lot of urine comes out. It just, small amounts.
So besides like at night, like when you have to go to the bathroom and urinate during the day, is the stream like really heavy, or is it like really slow and it takes a little while to come out, or is it just like it comes out and you're fine and it's just weird at night?
I would say it's normally fairly slow.
Fairly slow. So
Yeah.
let's have you go to the health food store and get saw palmetto.
Okay.
And I mean, I would probably have you take 3 or 4 capsules daily for a
Okay.
little bit. And the idea is I'd still be using the Sylvester pine,
Yeah.
but there's a chance that the prostate is a little inflamed,
Okay.
and that's part of the issue.
Okay.
And so let's just disinflame it. Like let's
Okay.
just take it down a notch and like see if, because if the Sylvester pine's not working, there's something else going on. And so, you do enough work to where we can go like, okay, is it a nervous system thing? Is it this? But I mean, it's pretty normal as a male gets older that is an issue. But then it comes again to the balancing thing, like how much can we just reduce it? And because almost every guy as they get older has that issue. Like, I mean, it's mechanics,
Okay.
and so let's just do some things to reduce that. There is this
So it's 3 to 4 caps per day, and for how many days? A couple of weeks.
yeah, at least a couple of weeks. You'll probably go through at least like a bottle. Like, go through a bottle and then let's see how you do. But I would like to hear how you're doing even within a week.
Okay.
But there are stronger things. There is an oil that we can use. It's not something that's on the site, but there's this really kind of funky eucalyptus that gets used for that. But it's kind of pricey, and it's like it really doesn't have a lot of uses other than that. And
Yeah.
so like I don't really put it on the site. I mean, I have some, but if we need to
Well,
do that, we can do even just like a little tiny amount of it. But usually I do saw palmetto for somebody right off the bat, and then if that's not resolving it, then we get a little bit more aggressive about it. But it's keeping you up at night, and keeping a healthy flow of urine coming out is going to be good for your kidneys as well, and overall body. And so like let's just, of course we want you to sleep through the night, but I also want you urinating as good as you can even during the day. And so I would say let's shrink it a little bit, let's disinflame it a little bit and see how the flow goes there, in theory. Because like part of what's happening is like anytime a nerve gets compressed really hard, it goes to sleep. Like when you sit on your foot goes to sleep, the nerves got really hard, right? But when there's a moderate amount of pressure on something, the nerve gets excited. Like how you get those little twitches in your eyes? Like the eyelid will start twitching a whole bunch. Like a nerve is being moderately compressed. And so it makes the eye like start twitching a whole bunch, right? So the same idea can happen with the urinary tract and the prostate and all this. If there's a moderate amount then the nerve gets excited. And so it's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go to the bathroom. And then you really don't,
Yeah.
or you do very little. And so usually Sylvester pine will knock that out. But if there's still a little bit of compression there, the Sylvester pine is still going to help reduce the inflammation or just the inflamed prostate somewhat, but it's just not fast enough or strong enough. So let's bump up the saw palmetto and then let's see what happens from there.
Okay, good.
So I wouldn't necessarily get a super big bottle, but I just get like the normal size bottle, start pounding through it, and then let's see how that treats you.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
In the morning, I'm having rosemary verbone for cognitive function, and I'm inhaling that like 25 times.
Oh, great.
Would it be helpful to add herbal memory tincture
Yeah.
along with that?
Super good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I have a bottle of Croatian hyssop, which I've had for a while. And it's now down to the point where I can't get anything out of it, but it's good to smell.
Mm-hmm.
I have a new bottle of Croatian hyssop. Can I put the last few dabs of, excuse me, the old Croatian hyssop into the new bottle, or
Oh,
will
yeah,
that cause
sure.
a problem?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no, that's totally fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Keep me posted though.
right. Another oil question. I have a bottle
Yes.
of Rhythms oil. Now, I was looking at the Divine Self where we're doing vibrations, frequency, resonance, harmonics, and going, well, my physics background would tell me that rhythms fall into all of that. Is rhythms
Yeah, I
helpful?
mean, it's definitely influenced, back and forth, and so you could throw that in the mix. When we do the vibrational healing, not this weekend but next weekend, we'll be doing the energetic version, and then we'll be doing the physical version.
Okay.
I didn't include the rhythms there, but rhythms would still be impacted or even impact those areas. And so I would still work that.
Okay. I'll throw that in the mix.
I really like working the rhythms thing myself. I feel it's not like I go, oh, it's good for this symptom, but I can feel it makes my body function better.
Mhm.
But like not like super specific, like, oh, I use this for when my jaws are tight, or like, you know what I mean? It's just like things feel like they're moving in the right direction, but because it's hitting all kinds of different rhythms in the body. And I would probably do it at night right before you go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing the rest of it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Oh, the is there some pH I can do with that?
Or the prostate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a protocol in the advanced book.
Okay.
Yeah, like I just follow the protocol. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's real quick and short too. Yeah.
Prostate protocol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Breath.
Mhm.
When I was starting to do the frequency, going through the frequency from the Divine Self segment
Mhm.
1, I started, doing the deep breathing, being very, very intentional about long, slow, deep breath.
Mhm.
And my focus was almost 100% on making sure that I had long, slow, deep breath.
Great.
And so what I immediately noticed was I'm not seeing anything, my internal state while I'm doing this, because I'm so focused on my breath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I changed up and I went, okay, my focus is on my internal state.
Right.
And I'm going to do a long, slow, deep breath, but that's not my primary intention here. My primary intention is how does my internal state react as I'm inhaling the balance oil, hypertension on the lungs,
Okay.
you know. So am I onto something here, or is this
Yeah,
just
I would still kind of monitor the breath, but I definitely the more you can keep your awareness on the target areas, the better.
okay?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
good.
But I love that you're focusing on the breath so much.
Hmm.
Like like for example, like if I tell my family members like, okay, do 3 to 15 nice long slow deep breaths, they'll go, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like,
Mhm.
okay, you kind of got the idea, but not.
Yeah, you're
So
you're missing the
like,
secret sauce here.
yeah, so like working the breath like you're doing, like I think is very, very good.
Hmm.
And there's something to be said of like really working it to the point where you're like, okay, I've worked it so well, I don't have to think about it anymore. And then you can direct it into those areas.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so for me, I would say it's not an either or. Like I would work it kind of like how you're doing it, but then at some point that same kind of focus, but on the target areas.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because it was like almost okay. I'm going at this obsessively to get long, slow, deep. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like over the edge, like falling down the cliff
Yeah.
obsessively. Yeah.
The other thing that I would say about that is so good for your health. Like
Mhm.
it's so good for your health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, there's a lot of good reasons why to be doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Have a great
You're
one.
so welcome.
Talk to you next week and let you know how things are going.
Okay, perfect.
And then go ahead, Lolly, then Letty.
Hey.
Mhm.
So just a couple of things. One is the
Mm-hmm.
follow-up on all the stuff you were telling, you said to try to do with these legs and the calves. And so when you're talking about larch, so the one really that you do have on the website, which is the spagyric one,
Mhm.
so is that the same as like if you just do larch as a body tonic? Like, is there a difference
Yeah,
between
like
these?
if I have like the if I've made something in a spagyric like tincture, and then you order like Larch body tonic, it's got the spagyric tincture in it. Like anything
Right.
that
So
I have, yeah. And I have a bunch of things that we haven't even put up. Like I mean, I have spagyric lavender and I have spagyric lemongrass, and we just haven't put them all up yet. But anything that I have tinctures of, as long as it's something that I can do a spadry with, they're spadry. But even if it's a tincture and it's a body tonic, like we've always done like the essential oils and the body tonic, and then I'll put like minerals or coenzyme Q10 or whatever it is that augments the oil. And
mhm.
so I'm still doing that, but we're also now adding like tinctures to them. And so I'm just trying to have like as broad of spectrum for treatment as possible. Because the oils are very strong, but sometimes the herb is doing something that the oil might not do or might not do as well. And then the minerals or whatever else I'm adding to it, that also is adding some component. And so like the larch is the spadric tincture, and then more essential oil added to it, and then
Mhm.
I want to say it's got, off the top of my head, it's either magnesium or lithium in it as well. And so the lithium just diminishes stress in the body. The magnesium, if I'm using, I'd have to look at my recipe. The magnesium is like just antispasmodic and it relaxes in a different way. But usually I'm trying to augment what the body tonic is trying to do.
Mhm.
you
And
know.
then so, because like for example, my calves are like super tight, which can explain other things that are not really functioning. Or so would that be, so even if I'm using another, let's say another body tonic, I can still use the larch
Oh, sure.
kind of that
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
Because I mean, that can,
Yeah.
maybe that
I,
can
I
also
would
be,
I would still put it like on the chest and the neck and then the calves. And the reason is like the larch is it's relaxing the bronchioles and it's relaxing parts of the nervous system. And the thing that larch does that some of the other oils don't do is it's relaxing and soothing to the motor nerves. And you know, a lot of things will be good for the nerves, but they're not really hitting the somatic part of the nervous system. And larch is really good for that. So, you know, it's not that it's antispasmodic like how marjoram is, but it's soothing and calming to the nerve that's making that muscle contract. And so it's like kind of hitting that tension in the calves and in the body, like through the back door, rather going directly at the muscle. You're kind of hitting the underlying potential cause with what it does to the motor nerves that you know make your body move and things. And so where like sage calms down the sensory component, and same with vetiver, larch calms down the motor component. And so yeah, I mean, I get my like I get like this kind of special kind of trigger point therapy stuff done by this guy that you know is an old timer that you know has trained for I don't know 30 or 40 years and like when he first started working on my calves like I was like you know I didn't think they were that tender until I started working on them and I was like oh my god like you can have all my past work and everything like, please stop and I started putting larch on them and you know, he said that he was pushing 3 times as harder. And he goes, you're not whining or crying or, you know, trying to get, you know, because like I'd start moving around like a fish. Like I was like, oh my God, you're just barely touching my calves. And he goes, I'm getting much deeper. And the only thing different that I did was the larch, you know.
so,
I don't know that it would resolve it for everybody, you know, because a lot of times issues in the calves are just spasms, you know, like, you know, maybe they're a little bit of a magnesium deficiency or, you know, the calves have gotten a little overworked and, you know, there's some spasms there, poor blood supply, you know, something like that. So marjoram will usually resolve that pretty quickly. But when you have like a long-standing, like deep calf issue, that's when I go larch, you know. Yeah.
okay. So like even for me, so if I'm already using, I mean, I'm using sage and I'm also using, I started using the, oh my God, words, ginger. So I start using the body tonic, the ginger one. So is it,
Yeah,
should I just give
ginger,
it,
yeah,
should I,
ginger, and I put a little bit, like when I make a ginger tonic, I put a little bit of saffron in it as well.
yeah.
And so that should be pretty antispasmodic. How is that treating your calves? Is that
So far I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm noticing a difference yet.
okay?
I mean, because, but again, maybe that's what's happening. The back is not as painful as it was like a week and a half ago or so. So maybe it is doing something. And my foot is
So here's another
so,
thing. So like just like if we put a pin in that for a sec, like so that soleus or soleus, like depending on who I talk to, they pronounce them different all the time. I always have said soleus, but so it can cause bruxing, you know, it can cause tension in the
yeah.
joints. But the other thing that it causes is issues in the SI joint, like in your sacroiliac joint. Like so basically low back issues. And so but it's where the pelvis kind of meets up with the sacrum. And so there's a little joint there that like allows your you know your pelvis to move and so as much as you treat the hip and the back, the issue is actually the calf.
So,
And so
and since I
that
already have an injury, that might aggravate it.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then so would you use that in addition to the ginger?
Yeah, I would probably rotate them. Yeah, because
Okay.
the ginger and the larch are doing different things. The
Right.
ginger is about, over a period of time, diminishing the potential for trigger points. And so you're doing a version of reducing the catabolic state, which is a degenerative stage, and increasing the body's ability to regenerate or reboot itself, and with the ginger.
Mhm.
And the larch is more about just calming that nerve. Like
Mhm.
it contributes to that as well, but it's doing it through different mechanisms.
Mhm.
And like when you mix them, they kind of don't do the same thing. Like I've tried,
Mhm.
like I thought, oh, this is going to be amazing, and it wasn't. It just
But
wasn't.
would you use them? Would you use them like one after the other, or would you use them
I
in
would
different days?
like give them, like, put one on and then, like, an hour or two later, or like,
Oh yeah.
like
Mhm.
that would be fine.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
give it a little bit of time. Let them do what they're going to do, and then you can put the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I do think that potentially, I don't know, I'm still experimenting because I've been using the ginger on my neck as well. I think
Mhm.
it might be helping a little bit. I'm
Oh,
still
good.
gauging it, but
Right.
I've been good about using it, so thank you.
Oh, good.
Um,
Good.
and then just one question. So going to like a place, like a job when I, don't want to be there. So the energy just doesn't feel great. It's not like an argument. Like, it's not one of those things. I don't connect. I don't like the job. I don't connect to the people. I've done this job before. I worked with these people before. Nothing about that makes me like feeling happy or smiling or whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
Is there anything that can make it somewhat better? Like what can be?
I would take what tinctures do you have?
I have cistus, melissa, blue lotus, vagus nerve, vein health.
So take some blue lotus and chase it with some like, do you have yarrow, like essential oils?
Yes.
So take some blue lotus, chase it with some yarrow, inhale some hyssop, put a little bit of hyssop on your wrists, and then go into that place and go, come on, give me your best shot.
Okay, I like that. Thank you. And yeah, I use hyssop on my wrists a lot because even when I do healings and okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I needed
You're
that.
so-
Okay.
Okay.
Good game plan. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That was great. Go ahead, Letty, and then we have chat questions.
Hey, lady,
Hi, Greg. Hi, Sam.
how's that grandbaby?
He's good, doing good, doing good. So I had a quick question. My old boss, every 6 months, he has a episode of vertigo, but I think it has to do with from the military. I guess from a lot, I guess so much like gunfire or something where he has like those crystals they said in his ear.
Yeah, it's
But
it's the I mean, that's the medical explanation, but the what happens is the sternocleidomastoid, those two big rope muscles on each side, directly impact your inner ear. And so even the thing that they give them to like loosen up, they do these like stretches to help loosen up those crystals, it's stretching the sternocleidomastoid. So I would use like lantana. I'd have him inhale hyssop. Anything that's like muscle relaxing for the neck, like vetiver, spikenard, marjoram, but lantana and hyssop, excuse me, definitely. And one of the things that I would have people do sometimes is like when they're really bad like that, is you can put a little bit of oil on your fingertips. Sometimes in the old days I would have like I'd make an ointment with thyme linalool, and then I'd have them rub it on the muscle, but then I'd have them just gently like stroke it.
Mhm.
And you're not rubbing it hard, but it kind of relaxes the muscle, not massively, but it can take people out of crisis. Like I would do that a lot of times with people who have had whiplash. Like they really couldn't handle like any sort of deep work or anything, but that muscle is still like in a spasm. So I would have them apply the oil and then just kind of stroke it a little bit until the neck relaxed. And it can be helpful, but usually hyssop will knock it out. The lantana will help loosen up the sternocleidomastoid in the neck, and then you could still cover it with one other thing, but that should do it.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
it happens like every 6 months, and then like he can't
yeah,
get up out of bed, he throws
yeah,
up,
yeah.
and so pretty
Did you
much.
say he throws up?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Um, so I would all the same things apply. I would also have him, if he's into it, put the vetiver like in the roller ball along the base of the skull. That right there tells me there's this big plane of fascia on the like back of your head and down the neck and into the upper back a little bit, called the nuchal ligament.
Mhm.
And when it's tight, it's like it compresses all of that. And in extreme cases, like tension in that would cause vomiting.
Okay.
Yeah. You do see that with like did he hurt his neck?
Um, I don't. I'm gonna say no, but
Okay.
he did break his legs when he was younger, like coming out of an airplane. They released him like in an area where they weren't supposed to, and he fell like on a tree, broke both of his legs.
Wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, I'm going to say that if he hit a tree coming out of an airplane, he's got a neck issue. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the legs got injured, but like something like his neck got injured. Even if it wasn't it, like he hit and whipped his neck around or something.
hmm
Yeah, that's crazy though. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, he said like when he was coming down, like he could see like something black, but he didn't know what it was. And I mean, I think whoever was in charge of them, like they got in trouble because of where they released him.
Wow.
But
I mean, he's probably got other stuff going on, but this is how I would target the neck. Sometimes when somebody has, because was he just he was seen fighting, he was seen action, or this was just training?
well, that was training, but then he was then after he healed, he went back into the military, and I don't know
Did
which
see
wars,
action.
yeah, which wars he was in, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there can be like a body tension that's there just from being in that situation where you're just always, you know, living under a threat of some sort, you know.
hmm
And so let's see how he responds to this. But if not, we might have to do things to like really calm down the nervous system and then come back around and visit this. It's kind of like what we're talking about in the vibrational healing class is we're going to do like on one day we're going to do the energetic version, and then on the next day we're going to do the physical version of improving the vibration, which is really stimulating the repair mode, right? The repair mode in the body. And so when you have you know a series of symptoms, and especially like when they start to become like not very responsive to any sort of treatment, be it that it's holistic or from the doctor or whatever it is, they're just not responding. It's the state of the body is not in a place where it's really healing, and so the body's not restoring itself at night. And so um I made the approach as simple as I could, like for the energetic part and then the physical part. But if he doesn't respond with treatment like this, then I would actually go through and, you know, it'll be like 4 oils that he'll work with for the physical part.
hmm
And it's if this approach doesn't work, then let's go through and just start treating his body. I mean, it's how you would unwind like the effects that cause PTSD. You know, it's not necessarily how you would treat PTSD, but you'd treat this because that's how the PTSD got there. You know, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying it's PTSD, by the way. I'm just saying that his body, like I knew this one client, you know, he talked about this in the class one time where there was always this tension, like when he was growing up in the house, like he was just always living in fear. And he lived out on this ranch, and his dad, when like the cows, or I think they had a mule, like when the cows or the mule wouldn't do what the dad wanted, the dad would like punch the animal, like just punch it really hard. And so he was always living under this like threat. And so when we were doing therapy, I said, well, you know, how many times did your, you know, dad hit you, or, you know, whatever? And he's like, never. Like my dad never hit me. He said, but I was always afraid because I saw what he did to the animals. And he's like, I always was like a super good, you know, this is the words he used. I was a super good boy because I didn't want that to be directed at me. That tension that came from always being on guard was pretty hard on his physiology. Like it was really hard on he had health issues as he got older because of it.
Okay.
So, you know, that's him when he was young. You know, your boss, he was older, he was at work, but still that impact, you know, might not be as profound as this guy's thing from, you know, having that when he was very young, but still it will have an impact where the muscles tighten up and the jaw tightens up, and you know, you don't sleep as deep, and you know, you're always aware of your surroundings, and even though he doesn't in those kinds of situations anymore, it's hard to let that go. It's really
Yeah.
hard to let that go.
What about an EPH, Greg? Would that
Yeah, just you lots of attention, you know. Like there's not going to be one thing that you do. You just have to work on him a bunch.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you
Just
so much.
just keep cleaning things up, and you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then go ahead, Channing, then we'll go to the chat.
Hey, Miss Chen.
Hi, Craig. Hi,
Hey.
Sam. I have a quick question. I want to, can you give me some recommendations and some strategies on how I can sort of, what's the word? Transform or transmute this sinking feeling that I have for no reason. I am not comfortable with waiting.
Oh, yeah. For the interviews and things.
Yeah, I just like, I don't know if my mind from past, whatever experiences is causing me to go into
Sure.
like
Yeah, I get it.
negativity, but there's no reason for me. My logical mind tells me there's no reason to be worried, but I'd like to break through the mental futility, if you will. And I'm not sure if I'm reading the situation correctly either.
So, you have tuberose?
It's on order and I don't know
Okay.
what happened to my bottle of tuberose. I can't find it. So I was kind of freaking out on Sunday when I couldn't find that bottle, but I ordered it. It's on its way. I ordered another one.
Yeah, do you have spikenard?
I do.
So let's have you use spikenard until the tuberose gets there. And the pattern is going to be your basic, then your spleen, then your mingmen, and then your crown.
Okay.
And then after that, the 4 quadrants. And then you can cycle through that several times. So
Alright.
some of that will help with like you said, the waiting and feeling uncomfortable and whatever. It should help that. But also it will help in resolving the obstacles of the situation and any sort of internal obstacle that might be there for you to resolve the situation externally.
So is it resolving external?
It's doing both. Yeah.
Really? It can resolve external as well?
Well, it'll help you resolve what it is. Like it's not going to make the problem go away, but a lot of times like an obstacle is just really another way of saying learning process.
Mhm.
And so it will help you adjust, adapt, and like potentially thrive in that situation. Right. And so a lot of times when we're in situations like that, like you said, we start thinking about the details, we get a little bit in our head, and then we just kind of get like forceful in a situation, and this will help you be like adaptive, innovative, like learn, adjust, adapt in whatever is going on. So it will help you to perform better, and if something not quite going the way that it needs to, will help you to potentially resolve it. So
Okay, there's also a component of time
yeah,
that is causing this sort of, just this discomfort.
right.
Like, I'm wrestling with time a little bit.
Are they going to make a decision this week, or they're
No,
going
the date has been extended,
how far?
the 13th.
Yeah. And I know there's the 2 situations. Has anybody else reached out to you, or have you reached out to anybody else?
Yeah, I had a conversation yesterday with Kevin, and he hadn't heard anything yet, and he was going to follow up. So I gave him my feedback. That was yesterday.
And what about the thing outside the company?
Outside the company. Oh, I haven't followed up with that at all yet.
Maybe just in case, throw something out there. It's always good to have multiple things. The more that we just are depending on one situation, the more anxiety it will produce. So like throw out like, still there's the ones that you're shooting for, but have backup plans. The guru used to always say, have a backup plan for your backup plan.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Greg.
You're so welcome.
And then we have just a little bit of time, so we'll go to some chat things. I'm looking forward to learning more about the essential oils healing certifications. I had planned to ask about it soon and saw the announcement yesterday that it's coming soon. They were kind of saying that, but if you didn't read the newsletter, we got certification info coming out soon.
Yeah, so there'll be a couple lanes of certification. One will be the like the Aura series, will be a level of certification. The next will be the vibrational, like the vibrational healing is part of a series. Most of it has already been presented, like the foundation for mystical healing with the colored healers like blue healer, gold healer, green healer, and the chakra class, the mystical chakras, and the mastering the elements, and the vital centers are all tied to that. There's vibrational healing and healing the spirit would be that whole unit. And so there'll be a certification for that, and then there will be an advanced practitioner's certification for that as well. And so we'll be doing some evening study groups for the practitioner, the people who want to do practitioner certification. So we'll be doing a lot more of talking about application and how to work with people, and then, you know, we'll go down that rabbit hole a little bit. So there'll be kind of like the standard level and then a practitioner level that's a little bit more advanced. So even if you don't want to do the practitioner level, but you want to be in the study groups, that's fine too. So
Yeah, that's absolutely, it is open to
yeah,
the
we're
people.
just, you know, it's been a while of laying things out, and now that they're getting to the point where they're at, laying out the stuff in a particular way that you have like a book that you can go to look and troubleshoot a whole bunch of different things. But I'm trying to make it as easy for quick reference, because I mean, we're doing a very old style of healing. Like when I say old, like ancient style of healing. And when medicine switched over to being mostly symptom oriented, some of this old philosophy got left behind. And so it's a way of bringing back this old school way of doing it and then merging it with the symptom oriented approach. So it's not an either or, but you know, it is a little bit of a different way of thinking about and approaching things, you know, because we so much just want to go to the, I have this symptom, what do I do? But a lot of times there's a lot more going on than just that. And, you know, I liken it to like your body's having an argument, and, you know, the symptoms are your body being really vocal about something, but there's a deeper thing going on that is also an issue, and it is not as vocal and it's not as easily heard, but it's usually the bigger thing that needs to be addressed. And so, yeah, I think we need to jump over.
Yeah, I think so too.
Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys have a good holiday weekend. The study group tomorrow is open to everybody because they were free classes. So we'll do the first part for relationship and the second part for the divine self and the vibrational component, which is kind of an introduction to this whole series. But join us if you can. And if not, I hope you have a good holiday, and we'll be back next Tuesday, just like usual, and we'll go from there.